Hi, welcome to the small shed. This Saturday we're out sorting out the outside of the house a bit. See you in a minute. Now, of all the tasks I set myself to try and get done this year, there's one that I don't think I'm going to be able to manage, and that was repainting all the outside of the house. I wanted to get the fascias and gutters done, some work on the roof, full scaffold up the back and front, and maybe even up the sides, but I'm not going to be able to do that because there just isn't time left, I don't think. Biggest problem to be dealt with in the short term is all the sills on the windows are in pretty poor shape. The rest of it isn't too bad. Even the conservatory that hasn't had a lot of tender love and care, it's just as you can see here that you get the problems, and the longer it goes on, another winter, the worse it will get. So I'm going to make a start and get those sanded off and at least get the paint onto the sills and ledges and leave the rest, because as I say, a good wipe down and that won't be too bad at all. It will survive without any fuss. It's hardwood, so it's not going to go anywhere, but it doesn't look very nice, and I think that's the next thing we need to be having a go at. Certainly at the one end where the gutters leaked a bit, it's particularly bad. So let's go get the sanders and steps and make a start on it. Yeah, because there's not a problem with most of this because it's dry, I can carry on with it, but this patch here where the gutter's leaking, I'm just going to cover it up for a few days so that keep the water off it, and then it'll give me a chance to get it dry before I start sanding. And what I'll do then, I'll worry about getting the gutter repaired as well when I've got a few minutes and got the ladders out. Biggest problem is going to be cutting back all the undergrowth, I think, to get out this stuff, but we'll have a bit of a snip at it as well. Right, so these are the weapons of choice for getting the paint off. Because it's fairly flaky anyway, I'm just going to use a couple of mouse sanders, effectively, the little multi-tool with the delta head on it and the little Black & Decker mouse sander. I find that they get into the corners nicely. I'm not using the bigger hand sanders because it's not quite so easy to handle when you're up a ladder or anything, but certainly for these I think this will knock most of it off. We'll go out and have a go and see how we get on with them. And just finish it off with the light hand sand with a 180 grit. Now I'm using a Saddlelin's paint. I think it's a water base nowadays. It's funny stuff because it looks like it's sort of a maroon colour, but once it gets onto the wood I think it'll take up the wood texture and grain better and look alright, but we'll have a go anyway. We'll get one coat on and see what it looks like. Now it soon became apparent once I'd started to get working with this Saddlelin's that it wasn't the same paint that I used when I did the windows originally. I'd quite forgotten what it was that I'd used before, but it was not going to work to just do the sills, so I ended up having to basically rub the whole thing down and repaint the whole window. It doesn't take a lot longer anyway, and it's probably a slightly more satisfactory solution. But it's odd, this paint. In the past I've been using spirit-based stains, and this one is water-based, which tends to account, I think, for the reason why it's almost pink in colour when it goes on. It's more of a purpley pink colour, but as it dries it takes on the brown colour that we had on before. And I think it's fair to say that when we had originally softwood windows, which is when we moved in, and before I extended, they were just painted softwood, and they actually kept their finish far better than the hardwood. It doesn't seem very happy at all when it gets direct sunlight on it. It seems that pretty much any finish you put on it, I've tried oils, I've tried varnishes and all sorts, they all seem to deteriorate fairly rapidly. I think Osmo UV stuff is probably the answer, but I think to get a decent finish I'd be having to take all of the wood right back to bare wood, which will take ages anyway. So maybe that's the solution for when we get the full job done with scaffold and goodness knows what else, hopefully next year. But this is a short-term fix, I hope, and it seems to go on okay. I'm happier with this as a finish than some of the previous spirit-based ones anyway, and it certainly seems to work. As I say, I did the front I think last year with this stuff, and although it was a bit of a rush job for that one as well, same thing, same theme reoccurring, that I left it too late really. I think the problem is our summers are a bit mixed. You either jump in June when you get decent weather, and you can pretty much always forget August certainly, and sometimes the back end of July. For all its summer, it's not very reliable in terms of rain. And of course we were away in August anyway, and it's only been the last couple of days that I've had a chance to get back onto this and make a start. So I haven't got a lot of time left because it's damp in the mornings now, so I want to get this on and work my way around, get the conservatory done as far as I can. Next year's job also is to take that area in front of the conservatory and take some of the shrubbery out of that and put a small patio in there down in front of the pond. And I don't know what we'll do with the top patio, but it's something that will probably be used less if we move the bench down closer to the house. It was at one time a possible solution for where I put the shed, but whether or not we can get permission to go up there and make it larger, I don't know. It's a bit of a disruption though, but we'll try. But certainly with the water-based paints it's relatively easy to clean off any marks. Got that tidied up, and that was nicely finished. Right, so that's the first one done. It's not ideal, it's not quite how I would have wanted to do it, but it's see us through the next winter without any fuss, and probably the one after that. The beauty of this stuff is that after half an hour it's dry, so there's no real problem, and it's taken about an hour to do that, so it shouldn't take forever to get the rest of the back of the house sorted. Right, well, that's got me the first step of the 1,000 miles or so that we need to go to get this lot finished, but I'm happy that we've at least stabilised things a bit, and it shouldn't take too long to get the whole of the rest of the house done. Most of the windows I can do from inside with windows that hinge so that you can get at both sides of them, so there's no need for the scaffold or anything, just to get a coat on. Hopefully it'll survive the winter without any major problems. It certainly went through the last 2 winters without any fuss, and it's been falling apart for the last 2 or 3 anyway, so hopefully it's in a better state. Hope it was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next week. We're doing something different. I'll see you then and get back to my painting. Bye.